Guess what power the parasite? We are winning. Long live liberation.
This is the FBI. You have a federal warrant for this address. Keep your hands up and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant for this.
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
You need a breach? What do you need?
Need one.
I don't know.
Let's hold that with money. Don't take it.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands off the Uhuru movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world. But what happened when they attacked us, it has led to peoples all around the world who didn't even know us, to know about us and to know about colonialism. Yeah. So victory to the oppressed. Victory! Death to colonialism! Victory to Palestine! Victory to Palestine! Victory to Africa! Victory to Africa! The land is ours. The land belongs to the Palestinians. Yes. We will be free. Uhuru! Yeah.
On Saturday, November 4th, a sea of people surrounded 1600 Pennsylvania Ave chanting, "Free Palestine, hands off Uhuru, and Biden, Biden, you can't hide," as the 15th annual Black People's March to the White House commenced. Only this time, it was bigger than ever before. The Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations partnered with the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fightback Committee for the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, which served as a call to an end for the government's attack on Palestinians, Africans, and indigenous people. Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! In addition to the Israeli invasions and the genocidal war on the people of Palestine, the march brought attention to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the African People's Socialist Party, or APSP, who are in the process of fighting for freedom after federal charges of conspiracy, election tampering, and intent to spread Russian propaganda were brought upon three-party affiliates in April.
You know, what it just continued to reveal is that black people fighting for freedom is illegal, that freedom is illegal for black people in the United States and anywhere in the world. Wherever it is that black people are rising up and resisting, we are faced with the most violent kind of military political repression possible. Really begs the question, is, you know, democracy real in this country for African people, and is freedom illegal for African people?
The march represented a range of diverse organizations and ideologies, a notably historic moment as this was the first time anti-imperialists of all stripes marched together in unison with Africans and other colonized peoples. A list of demands were exemplified throughout the peaceful protests. To name a few, the right to freedom of speech and assembly, the release of all political prisoners, and of course, to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3.
Here we are now, not only just bringing these issues out and saying what they are, but have leaders who are representatives of those struggles. It was just a really profound and historic day. We don't romanticize that. There's a lot of work to be done, and part of what needs to happen is organization. Being a part of this movement provides for us as a vehicle for us to be able to actually achieve what we are looking to achieve, which is freedom.
With the Uhuru's 3 trial set for February of next year, there's still much work left to do, but a passionate and determined collective ready to do it. More events and conferences can be expected throughout the year from the Black is Back Coalition. But to truly get involved and informed about these different communities and their respective missions, visit blackisbackcoalition.org and handsoffuhuru.org. This has been Jada Ingleton reporting for Howard University News Service.
Uhuru. Uhuru comrades, wow, just what a great opening, and it's just great to see everybody on this call. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I will be one of your co-MCs for today. We are here because we are making the call for everybody to pack the courthouse, and this is, you know, to make that demand, hands off the Uhuru 3, who is Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Jesse Neville, and Penny Hess. And we want to really appreciate everybody for being here today. And I want to bring up one of the Uhuru 3, who will be our co-chair for today. And that is Comrade Chair Penny Hess, who is the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which, you know, is a strategy for you know, completing the Black Revolution of the 1960s and summing up all of the contradictions. And this is a very important strategy of the African People's Socialist Party under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And this is also why white people, or those who are in solidarity with the oppressed struggles of all people, will also come under attack, which is why the case of the Uhuru 3 is so important, which is why we are so glad you are here today. And on that note, Uhuru comrade, great to see you.
Uhuru, Chairman Mwezi, it's so great to be here, and I want to join in welcoming all the comrades who are here today for our update, and I'm going forward to all out to the trial, September 3rd. We're pushing back the state. It's powerful to be here under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Jesse Neville, who's with us as well. So let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. Right on, comrade. Great. Great to have you on, and you're going to be hearing from the Uhuru 3 on today. So we're just going to open it up with a quick overview for those of you who are, this may be your first time joining us, and those of you who have been with us, we want to just appreciate you for being here. So we'll pull up the slides in just a moment. But as Comrade Penny said, we are here all out for the trial on September 3rd, and we're calling on the people to learn today how you can get involved in this fight back. So we want you to share this webinar if you are viewing online, or you want to get other people online. Make sure that you tell everybody, go to tinyurl.com/handsoffuhuru3, or you can go straight to the Hands Off website and get everybody on. So as has been stated, we want to salute the profound leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who is leading the African liberation struggle, the Uhuru movement. Uhuru means freedom. So if you are fighting for freedom on any level and any way that you are, facing oppression, the theory of African internationalism, its practice and its theory and its leadership under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the vehicle to overturn all of the oppression that we face. So we really want to salute the chairman as well as the deputy chairwoman, Onazane Yeshitela, who has concretized the chairman's theory and just put it all over the world for us to be able to see what concrete economic and political power looks like in the hands of the colonized. And this is a very important struggle that Deputy Chair is leading on the ground, characterized by this multifaceted program that we have, which is the Black Power Blueprint. And this is on the ground in St. Louis, Missouri. This isn't the most impoverished area of the community, the Black community, and through gentrification and food deserts and lack of safe recreation for the children, the Black Power Blueprint has restored power back in the hands of the African working class, who it knows deserves the best. And that is who is leading this struggle. This is why the African People's Socialist Party was attacked on July 29th with flashbang grenades. You saw the video, that was video that we had to capture to be able to put this out to the world and to expose this, fight back. And that's what you're a part of. That's the Hands Off Uhuru. And we're taking the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3 following, again, those vicious July 29 attacks, which took place in St. Louis, Missouri, and in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the chairman and our leaders were held at gunpoint, property stolen. And this is a really important fight back that has expanded, not just, in terms of those who maybe experience this directly, these attacks, but everyone, the whole anti-colonial, struggle, wherever these attacks on the people exist, we built this Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. And this was designed to, bring everybody, together under one banner to be able to, one, make the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 and to take all the demands of all the struggling and, toiling masses and peoples of the world into this, into one fight back. So you can join the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. We hope you will become a member, by the end of today, or so you can do that by going to handsoffuhuru.org/coalition. So all out for the trial, which mark your calendars for September 3rd. This is in Tampa, Florida, where we will put the state on trial. If you are watching with us right now, go to handsoffuhuru.org/take action. We will be talking more about this, what's on this site, but go ahead and start to, pull yourself into the process so that we can make this fight back on the ground in Tampa, a very something that the state will have to yet again contend with, which is the people. And that's where the power is. So I also want to bring up Co-MC Penny, because we have a program today that will speak to the various struggles. And one of the members of our coalition, the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, who we are very honored to have, a part of this, fight back, is also joining us. So I'll turn it back to you, Penny, as you can introduce our speakers. Uhuru.
Uhuru, just really, really appreciate your overview, Chair Moise, and I want to have the honor of also saluting the ad hoc committee for the freedom of Leonard Peltier, an Indigenous man who has spent almost 50 years in prison on stolen land of the Indigenous people, and just acknowledge and salute the struggle of the Indigenous people, the theft of their land on, in a system built through the stolen labor and stolen freedom of African people. And I am a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And in that capacity, just have been targeted as one of the Uhuru 3 for fighting for reparations for African people. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the members of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. The Hands Off Uhuru has a commitment to that we're going to do everything possible within our power to free Leonard Peltier this year. And we want to salute the comrades who are on the front lines of that struggle. So we will be hearing from Comrade Dawn, Comrade Paulette, and perhaps Attorney Jennifer also a little bit later in the program, and always want to thank them for coming on and being such an important part of the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition.
Uhuru, great. Thank you so much, Comrade. Yes, I want to unite. It's really important to have that, to be able to expose, what is happening here on the settler colonial, state, which is the America, the United States of America. And this is something that we can take this struggle we have to be able to take this struggle to the people. And I'm so glad that those comrades will be on today. And we'll also have with us Director Chimurenga Selembao, who is the chairperson of the Make Our Votes Count campaign. And he will be talking to us about, the uncommitted vote and how this whole, really important struggle made by the Palestinian community and Palestinian people and their supporters and their solidarity, have been able to push back in terms of electoral politics and how, in this fight back. So we'll talk about that in terms of making the Black vote count. And I want to appreciate Chimurenga, who will be on with us today. We will also hear from Chairman Omali Yeshitela. As we have said, you will be hearing from the Uhuru 3, Chair Jesse and Chair Penny as well, Uhuru. So we just want to, before we open it up, we want to really thank our supporters. This is not a small thing. This campaign has, grown across the world, and it's so important that we see just the power that we have as the people to, begin to build this anti-colonial free speech movement. So those of you who come to the events, who donate, who volunteer your time and your resource, and who are out there with us on the streets, getting petitions, all of that, that is not a small thing. And we really want to salute and appreciate those, who have been with us and who continue to help deepen this fight back. And just how all of that has helped to get this out in the world in spaces that normally would not, find any interest in trying to, expose what is happening, and using this case, as an example. So we want to just recognize some of the more, recent media features which have helped take this out and break out of this encirclement that was, that happened almost immediately, as well as to acknowledge some recent interviews that have also happened, and those, speaking to, Africans all around the world, who were colonized by, by France and Belgium, and, being able to make all these connections is really important. So we want to appreciate Mabali Makasi for bringing the chairman on Sunday. And, you saw us at the UNAC convention taking this campaign out there. And we also want to appreciate other coalition members like Los Ronderos de las Redes for, their helping to also get this out in the media and social media. So just some salutes. And also to salute our legal defense team, which are, these courageous, lawyers that are, really making a really important stance in terms of this case. And we have an amazing team, which is not just those who you see here. We have a goal to raise as we are building for this legal defense fund to help our lawyers make a strong defense in the courtroom. We want to raise today $2,500. That's $2,500 towards the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Fund. And that you can do that right now by going to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Any little bit counts: $1, $100, $1,000. All of this is, such an important part of this fight back. So without further ado, comrades, we're going to go ahead and get into today's program. We say all out for the trial. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/take action right now so you can start to, participate in this fight back as well. So I want to turn it over to, we just started talking about why we're raising these, this legal fund, because we have this great team of lawyers who are going to take it to the trial. And part of understanding why the Uhuru 3 are facing trial and what the charges are is really important. And I want to bring up Comrade Chair Jesse, who is the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and one of the Uhuru 3, who is going to be able to help us continue to understand this case, what it means in the context of the attacks on the African People's Socialist Party, the Black Liberation Movement, but more so, how this is impacting, how we have to understand how to talk about this thing. So I really want to appreciate Jesse for how you put this together. And I'm going to turn it over to you, comrade, for the summation. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chair Mwezi, thank you so much. It's, as always, a great honor to be here and participate in this important meeting of the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition. And I want to salute you, Chair Mwezi, and your profound leadership of the anti-colonial free speech movement, and also appreciate Chairwoman Penny Hess, who's here with me here in St. Louis, and of course, our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, the African People's Socialist Party. And I also want to recognize our legal team, all of our attorneys on our official privileged, the team of lawyers representing the Uhuru 3, which includes Attorney Leonard Goodman, Addie Griffin, Mutaki Akbar, Angela Rainey, and Tom Inskeep, along with Director Chimaranga Selambao and all of the volunteers on the Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee. So it's a very powerful team that is mounting a robust and serious fight back that will be victorious in pushing back against these bogus charges against Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru 3. And before I give the updates on the actual case, I did want to say I'll be coming back on later in my capacity as the fundraising to say that we're moving forward towards our $2,500 goal. So I did just want to quickly appreciate everybody that donated even before we got here today towards this goal, starting with one of our most consistent and amazing donors, MQ. Who, people knew what I was going to say before I even said it. MQ put in $50, and then of course went ahead and put in another $150. So Uhuru to MQ. And then because MQ leads by example, they also became a sustainer, $10 a month.
Oh, wow.
So we encourage people to do that. We also want to appreciate Len Demmer, who became a $10 a month sustainer, Amanda Carlozzi, who put in $10, Bertrand, Roger, and Sinlape, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who each put in $10, and an incredible contribution from a very powerful donor and supporter of Hands Off Uhuru, Peg Keefe, out of St. Petersburg, Florida, who put in $1,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
So this is incredible. We are already $1,260 of the way there towards our goal of $2,500. But that is not what I'm supposed to be talking about right now. So I will get to the Uhuru 3, the case of the Uhuru 3 legal updates. And again, just want to thank everybody who has contributed at handsoffuhuru.org/donate. So next Thursday, April 18th, 2024 will be 1 year since the unsealing of the indictment by a federal grand jury in the Middle District of Florida, indicting Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and myself on 2 counts of federal felony charges, totaling a maximum 15-year prison sentence for each of the Uhuru 3. The bogus indictment alleges without evidence that Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru movement's more than 50 years of struggle for the liberation of African people suddenly became secret illegal agents of a Russian conspiracy to sow discord in the United States in 2014. Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the primary target of this political assault, which continues the FBI's bloody track record of counterinsurgency against the leaders of the African freedom struggle, from Marcus Garvey to Malcolm X and so many others. The case of the Uhuru 3 has been widely recognized as the most serious political assault on the African liberation movement since the 1960s, and a test case for the First Amendment, in which the future of the right to free speech itself is at stake. In May of last year, we were arraigned in the federal court of Tampa, Florida, where the chairman, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and myself were arrested, handcuffed, fingerprinted, photographed for mugshots, jailed for several hours, and then brought into the courtroom in handcuffs and leg irons. 2 months later, and following that, our passports were revoked, and we were put under a very strict, what they call pre-trial, which is essentially probation. 2 months later, in July of 2023, one of our attorneys representing our legal team, Leonard Goodman, filed the brilliant motion for dismissal of the indictment on the grounds that the indictment itself threatens to blow a massive hole in the First Amendment, the right to freedom of speech, because all of the overt acts, quote unquote, named in the indictment that the government alleges we carried out are examples of pure speech, political speech, which is considered to be at the core of the First Amendment right to free speech. You can read Leonard Goodman's motion for dismissal on handsoffahuru.org/motion to dismiss. As many of you know, in January of this year, the magistrate judge in Tampa, Florida, recommended a denial of the motion to dismiss. Our legal team filed an objection to that recommendation. The essence of the magistrate and the prosecutor's argument is that the speech spoken by the chairman and the Uhuru 3 is no longer speech, but is instead action when carried out under the alleged direction of the Russian government. and therefore that speech loses its constitutional protection under the First Amendment. And besides, the prosecutors argue, the First Amendment right to free speech could be suspended in this case in the interests of national security. As attorney Leonard Goodman points out, this is unprecedented. Never before, even in the history of US colonial law, has this foreign agent statute, 18 USC 951, been used to target pure speech. Furthermore, as Goodman points out, there is no legal precedent for using the supposed national security interests of unmasking foreign agents to justify the criminalization of political speech. This is part of why our case represents a litmus test for the US government's ability to suppress political speech. They are attempting to set a precedent by which they could charge anyone at any time for saying anything they don't like, simply by alleging that that person is working on behalf of a foreign government, simply by pointing out some supposed alignment between the views of the speaker and the views of a foreign government. The district judge presiding over our case has yet to make the final ruling on that motion for dismissal. It has now been over a month since our last filing was made on that matter. A trial date has been set for September 3rd of this year in the federal court in Tampa, Florida, a trial that is expected to last 4 weeks. However, the struggle for the charges to be dropped is not over. On April 2nd, attorney Leonard Goodman filed another motion, this one calling for the disclosure of grand jury transcripts, the transcripts of the grand jury proceedings that led to the indictment in April of last year. This is because our attorneys believe that the prosecutors deliberately misled the grand jury in order to secure an indictment against the Uhuru 3, which is obviously true. If this can be proven, it would be grounds for another motion for dismissal. However, in order to prove it, we need to have access to the grand jury transcripts, which normally the prosecutors make available to the defense a month before the trial. Our attorneys requested that those transcripts be released to us sooner than later, and the prosecutors responded that not only would they not release them to us early, they do not intend to release the grand jury transcripts to us at all. This leaves our legal team no choice but to file a motion with the judge to compel the prosecutors to disclose those grand jury transcripts to us. On April 3rd, the judge ordered the prosecutors to respond to that motion by April 24th. These are the updates from our case. And I also want to say that if you are in Chicago, there will be a panel at the regional conference of the National Lawyers Guild this Sunday at 10:45 at Loyola University on the case of the Uhuru 3, where attorney Leonard Goodman and myself will be there in person, and Chairwoman Penny Hess will be speaking, joining us via Zoom. If you're interested in attending, you can put it in the chat or contact info@handsoffufuru.org. So I close by saying that we call on everyone to continue donating to the Legal Counteroffensive Fund.
Somebody has a question for those who made pledges. Are those pledges going to be honored, or do we need to go ahead and make a donation? I'm not sure.
Yes, if
Okay.
you made a pledge, and I want to thank everybody that made a pledge prior to the new our ability to accept donations being restored, which we'll talk more about later. If you filled out the pledge form, you can go ahead and fulfill that pledge by going to handsoffufuru.org/donate now and making your donation. And if anyone does not remember how much you pledged, you will be getting an email from us this week to remind everybody the amounts that you pledged. So thank you for that question. So to close out on the legal updates, we are calling on people to continue donating, to continue mobilizing for the trial on September 3rd in Florida. We need thousands of people there. Continue to win this struggle in the streets, in what Chairman Omali Yeshitela calls our real jury, which is the people of the world. Raise the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. Hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Africa. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Wow. Thank you so much, Comrade Jesse, for that update. And I did want to just really reiterate the importance of these presentations and these updates, even just the most recent one with the, the motion for the transcripts, the, grand jury transcripts, which they refused to release. And so again, the date you said was April 24th when we look to hear back, and we will continue to have these meetings and these types of updates. So thank you so much, comrade. And please, everyone, know that you can go to handsoffuhuru.org. I believe under the About tab, you can read the court documents. And we want you to read the court documents from since the indictment to the motion, and all of these, various things that we've had to file, which cost money. But, so this is why all this fight back is important. We have to raise the resources to be able to do these types of things, like make these types of requests to really put the state on trial. So Uhuru, comrade. And next we're gonna move our program, and I want to thank those who have joined us. I wanted to appreciate Esther, who raised that question about the donations, and also just it's great to see you again, comrade. So thank you, as well as I think I saw Lucy Murphy on as well, and there's probably so many other names, Benjamin Prado. Now I should not start that, but I want to just appreciate everybody for being here. It's just really great to have you comrades on with us. So we're going to introduce, I want to bring up the chairman. And before, as you come up, Chairman, I think, it's always important for us to explain, who the African People's Socialist Party is and why, they are under attack. And again, the APSP was founded to complete the revolution of the 1960s. And that was a revolution that was crushed with the Black liberation struggle, but with the struggles of colonized people everywhere. Again, as the chairman said, people were not fighting against racism, they were fighting for power. And that was a movement that was crushed by the counterinsurgency. And the party has, taken that, and the chairman, most single-handedly has led this struggle to make sure that that revolution is complete. And this is who the African People's Socialist Party is. And it is very clear that, our goal is to fight for the liberation of Africa and African people everywhere. And again, to put power in the hands of the African working class, which will free up all of humanity. So, the Uhuru movement, which means, freedom, is not a protest, movement. And again, it fights for self-determination and self-government. Again, for more than 50 years, the chairman has fought colonialism, not racism. And as we can see that this is a prevailing view, we can see it in the news, in the papers. People are saying colonialism, and this is because of the work of the chairman. And we're also seeing, the charging, in 1982, the chairman indicted the U.S. government on charges of genocide based on the Genocide Convention. And this is what led to the chairman's call to make reparations a household word, which again, we hear and we see everywhere. And again, this was part of the chairman's political work to take this struggle across the world and to win solidarity for the Black liberation struggle for reparations. As you can see here, the chairman in Namibia in 2006, all the way to South Africa, to take this, struggle there as well. The chairman, working, closely with and, closely allied with Huey P. Newton up until his death, who, Huey P. Newton, himself said, that this Black liberation, lives on through the African People's Socialist Party, through the Uhuru House, through the Burning Spear newspaper. This is that type of work that the chairman has done. And as a young organizer in SNCC, this is another really important, program that we can talk more about, even, in the context of everything that we're looking at now. But the first act of Black power, which, even, led to, other, movements, as we saw on the Capitol in California, chairman tearing down this, anti-Black mural in St. Petersburg, Florida, sentenced to 5 years in prison. But, throughout this time, developing a way for the people to continue to take this, struggle out in the Burning Spear newspaper, which is the oldest institution of the African People's Socialist Party, still in print to this day. And again, published books on, us being able to understand the theory of African internationalism as it applies to everything in the world, and the chairman's books, as well as in 2019, where the chairman spoke at Oxford University in the UK to a standing ovation. And we keep bringing this up because this video itself has been shared and reshared, and and I just really want to say how important that this particular, presentation was in terms of the question of Africa, African unity, and, and the leadership of Africa and all oppressed peoples. And this was a really important speech. We invite you to look that up. It's like the most famous 10 moments or 10 minutes of the world. That's how you can even search for that, of the chairman's presentation. So I will let the chairman introduce himself on today. And I want to salute you, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, for being here with us for this struggle that you are leading, to give us a summation on why it's important, why we have to pack the courthouse Uhuru. Okay, there we go. Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to you, Comrade Mwezi and Comrade Penny Hess, the leaders of the Hands Off Uhuru work that's happening now, Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Committee that we've created. I also want to say to everybody here, all of you who are participating in this discussion, I want to remind you, you probably see some announcement of it before this meeting is over, but on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of this month, we're going to be conducting through the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, an electoral campaign school that will be teaching Africans who to participate in the electoral process in this country to destroy the monopoly that's held by the African petty bourgeoisie that functions as minions of the Democratic Party and the ruling class in this country. And I think it's important to talk about that. It's going to be here in St. Louis. It's going to be important in St. Louis because a tremendous amount of work revolving around the struggle of the liberation of African people and colonized people, generally speaking, is centered right here in St. Louis. And we want as many people as possible to come here in person, to show up. We want you to see the economic development programs and projects that we have created. You got a hint of it just a moment ago in the introduction to this discussion. But if you see it, then you get a sense of exactly why the government is attacking us. Because these are anti-colonial programs. These are programs that negate colonialism. These programs represent the very same reason why they would be killing and attacking people in Palestine who want to negate colonialism, and especially in the Gaza Strip, where the resistance is concentrated and people are trying to make a life for themselves. So we're inviting everybody to be here. And you can find out more about this by going to blackisbackcoalition.org. Check it out and get here if you can. It's extremely important. And I think it's important also to remind people that we're talking about elections because one of the reasons that they attacked us is because of our participation in elections in St. Petersburg, Florida, in 2017 and 2019. They said the Russians are the ones who paid us and got us to participate in this election. But the reality is that I was one of the organizers that participated in struggle to make it possible for African people to participate in elections throughout the South in this country. And Black people died and were massacred, churches bombed, children killed, leaders assassinated, and things like that, just for the right to vote. So it's an absolute absurd kind of charge that they would make, that the Russians paid us, got us to participate in elections. I don't know if Russians ever had their churches bombed and their children killed for participating in elections. I don't know if Russians ever had their children blasted with high-powered water hoses, or the people run over with horses and electric cattle prods used on them just because they wanted to register to vote. So the notion that somehow the Russians would be informing us and getting us to do this, if anything, we would be the ones who are teaching oppressed people how to participate in elections. So I want to say this is really important. And the school that we're involved in is really important because Africans were not supposed to even be participating in elections. And to make sure that Africans couldn't participate in elections, even after we bled in the streets, and as I mentioned, had our churches bombed and leaders assassinated and people jailed and beaten just for trying to join Joe Biden's party, even after we did all of this and then made it necessary for the United States to make concessions to masses of African people who were demanding just the right to vote. And then making it necessary for America to try to prove that it was the leading force for democracy in the world, on the one hand, while it's killing Black people for just trying to vote it became necessary for them to pass this Voting Rights Act in 1965. That was in 1965. It was only 1964 before Civil Rights Act was passed. When I'm making this point too, because it just goes to the point that we talk about the First Amendment rights of the Constitution, which is really important for us to push on, to recognize, but African people were not guaranteed rights by the First Amendment. That was passed in 1791, the Constitution in 1791, and African people were enslaved during that time. It was only 1865 before slavery was formally over. So none of that was supposed to represent us and our interests. But we fought for it, and we won this this contest in the streets of this country. And at this, I would have mentioned that even the issue of desegregation and civil rights and stuff, the sitting president of the United States was opposed to it. He worked against that, and so instead of attacking us, if anybody who upholds what America's supposed to be about should be actually awarding us, and somebody is under attack, it would be the White House, because that's where the opposition to democracy and the constitutional rule and the rule of law that they like to talk about came from. And so I wanted to say that it's really important. I'm calling on people to get here, to come to St. Louis, to see what we've done, to see exactly what is the basis for this and this assault. The other thing I really want to mention is I think it's extremely important to acknowledge the significance of dear comrade Leonard Peltier. Because when you look at Leonard Peltier, you're looking at the part of the twin pillars of that this whole social system rests on as it relates to the immediate situation of the United States. Here we're talking about a man who's been locked up for nearly 50 years in prison, living in a Gaza, if you will, of his own in terms of the concentration camps that they euphemistically refer to as Indian reservations in this country on their own land. And now in defending the land against the most horrendous kind of attacks that resulted in, I don't know how many indigenous people killed, he's locked up. And we have to say free Leonard Peltier, not another year, not another day. He has to come out of those prisons. And it's necessary to say this also because as many liberals who have discovered us today, for whatever reason, the truth of the matter is the only friends we had as African people when we were kidnapped and brought here in chains against our will were the indigenous people. The only friends we had. That's why there's so many Africans who in this country who can talk about having relatives who are indigenous. My grandmother was a so-called Indian, et cetera, because we became part of so-called nations of the indigenous people in this country. We fought side by side with them. It was necessary for the United States government to actually sign a treaty to be able to come onto Florida. Much of the wars that were called Indian wars that were fought by Jackson, the guy whose picture they have on the $20 bill, the other side of which they're talking about putting Harriet Tubman. Much of those wars were fought to recapture African people who had united with the indigenous people and fought fierce battles with them. And it took a long time for them to conquer Florida, in part because of that relationship. And I'm just mentioning Florida, there were others as well. I just want to say that this is a deep and profound relationship that we have with the indigenous people, and it's always been there. It's not something that just got created. And so free Leonard Peltier. Free Palestine, free Palestine. From the river to the sea, we say Palestine must be free. And we say from sea to shining sea, as it relates to this country, the indigenous people must be free. Their land, they are colonizing this massive settler colony they call the United States, just as the Palestinians are locked up in a settler colony in occupied Palestine. When I say occupied Palestine, I mean, from the river to the sea, all of it is Palestinian, and Europeans were brought into that land for the purpose of facilitating the aspirations, the needs of capital through deepening the colonial domination of the Arab people in that particular area. You can check it out. You can find out about Sykes-Picot, where the French and the British got together and drew the existing borders that you look at. When you're talking about the wars that we see in Syria, the borders of Lebanon, the Palestine, Saudi Arabia, all of those were created because of white men. the colonizers created that in the process of constructing a whole colonial mode of production that continues to dominate the world at this moment. So I just wanted to say those things. And how am I on time? Somebody say something, guys. I know I thought
Just a few minutes, Chairman.
say more.
Just a few minutes. Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I wanted to make those points. The critical thing I wanted to point out again, and this is sort of a restatement of something that I referenced, is that this issue of First Amendment, this constitutional rights, it's a critical kind of question, but it's bigger than what most people have understood. Because the First Amendment, like most of the constitutional amendments, were not done for African people. As I mentioned, the First Amendment was 1791. And Africans did not achieve anything that approximates freedom until 1865, when it was formally over. And it took a civil war to make that happen. And I think that when we look at this issue of constitutionality and the rights of the people, the dominant law that prevailed was something that was really emphasized in 1857 right here in St. Louis by the Supreme Court of the United States, that ruled that the black man had no rights that a white man had to respect. That was the law. That was the Supreme Court. That was an albatross that hung around the necks of a democratic America for the longest period of time. And even today, they act like that's the worst law that was ever done by the Supreme Court. But it wasn't overturned through another court. What it took to get rid of that was a civil war. It was a civil war. This was 1857 when this law was passed, when the Supreme Court made that ruling. So it was a civil war that happened that finally, at least formally, ended that. But it was only formality. That's why there had to be a civil rights bill, a voting rights act, all of these things to pretend that African people were included, to make it appear that African people had some kind of inclusion in terms of rights in this country. So this issue of then, if the First Amendment was not made for African people, and the United States is now in this situation, along with the rest of Europe, built on colonialism, built on attack on Africa, built on the attack of what is now known as the Americas. I mean, this that gave birth to white power, white people, etc. This is what we are looking at right now. So if the First Amendment did not apply to us, what did it apply to? It applied to those people who were running from tyranny in Europe, who were running from feudalism in Europe, who were running from this situation where kings and queens, the monarchy, dominated the world. And so they wanted to act like they wanted rights for themselves, because the only rights were divine rights of the king. That was what prevailed up to this time. So they codified what was supposed to be rights for them. And these rights were put in Constitution. And they included the First Amendment and all of these other amendments. They went through all kinds of struggles. They were Federalists. They were other kinds of things that they talk about in law right now that created this, that brought this into existence. But what are we looking at? If it was not for Black people, if it was not for the indigenous people, if it was not for the people, Mexican people, et cetera, in this country, who was the First Amendment right for?
Right.
It was for white people. So what is happening is that they were using an attack on Black people who they assume that white people hate enough because we want to be free people, because we're not fighting to be Americans, we're fighting to be free. If it's not for the Mexican people, it's for the white people. And so when they attack the First Amendment right, they're not attacking my rights, because I never had any. That's why there are civil rights bills and Voting Rights Act and things like this. They're attacking the rights of white people. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they can make this attack on everybody's right through using Africans, Mexicans, indigenous people, Leonard, Peltier, and everybody else. So this is the thing, should be a wake-up call. Yes, the First Amendment is really important. We're going to make them pretend that the First Amendment also applies to African people. They're either going to say First Amendment for everybody or the First Amendment for nobody. Come out and say it plain. And they're in a situation now where they're close to saying it's First Amendment for nobody. That's why everybody needs to come out September 3rd, be in Tampa, Florida, April 12th, 13th, and 14th, be in St. Louis. Let's initiate a process where people can run for political office, run as anti-colonial forces, and then join with the African People's Socialist Party, the Hands Off Uhuru movement, to advance the struggle against colonialism, because it is the foundation. Colonialism is the foundation of a rotten social system that's choking the life out of the planet Earth and everybody on it. Thank you, Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman. Yes, wow. That was powerful and just so important for us to be there on September 3rd. Like you said, you know, First Amendment for everybody, or First Amendment for nobody, and that's really important, and that's exactly what it is. And I just really want to really salute that presentation, Chairman, and I hope that this mobilizes the people to get to Tampa, Florida, to get to St. Louis, as the chairman said, and we'll be going through these announcements a little bit further on in our program. But this, you know, is a great segue, the chairman's overview in terms of this whole illusion of, you know, in terms of what the chairman is just raising overall around this struggle with the First Amendment, you know, and then this, you know, civil rights, you know, that had to come through a civil war and through the process of that. And I just think that it's really important that we are equipped with how we can actually, you know, do what we are calling on through this campaign called the Uncommitted Voter Campaign. And I want to bring up, I think I'm bringing up next, Chair Chimarenga, yes, who will be talking with us further about that about this uncommitted voter campaign to make Black votes count, and how we use this strategy of electoral politics to deepen the fight back on all aspects of the colonial states bureaucracy. And so, Uhuru Comrade, thank you for being here, and we'll make sure that our chat moderators can put in the chat how to find this website, how to learn more about this campaign. But I'll turn it over to you, Comrade Chimarenga. Uhuru.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I want to appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Make Our Votes Count campaign, because we want to make Black votes count. And when we say make Black votes count, we mean everybody who can support the issues that I'm going to be talking about today, vote uncommitted in the presidential primaries that are upcoming. So I want to thank the chairman for that brilliant overview, because I think it was a perfect segue into talking about this campaign, which the chairman really was the brain behind it, who called me one day and said, look, this thing in Michigan, in the presidential primary in Michigan, these people, mostly Palestinian, got together with several different organizations and organized what they call an uncommitted voter campaign. And the campaign was to get people to vote uncommitted in opposition to the policies of the Biden administration in the genocide against the Palestinian people being carried out by the settler colonial state of Israel. They had a goal. The organization was called Listen to Michigan, and it was made up of a coalition of several organizations. And they had a goal of getting 10,000 people to vote uncommitted. Don't commit your vote to Joe Biden. Hold that off as leverage to get the U.S. to change its policies of genocide against the Palestinian people. And they had a goal of 10,000 people, and 110,000 people actually voted uncommitted. And that set off a firestorm where other states, Minnesota, Colorado, Missouri, several other states have mobilized uncommitted voters. So we want to mobilize uncommitted voters to vote for ourselves as Africans, for African issues. And the Black community has voted for Democrats for decades, but we have not gotten anything for our vote. The only thing that we've gotten for our vote is promises that if you vote for Democrat and vote for the Democratic presidential candidate, then you won't get Trump. You won't get the MAGA Republicans. And that's their latest fear mongering. And we say no longer will we continue to ask African people to vote and nothing comes from it. Black people don't get anything. So what we want to do is mobilize people to vote uncommitted, and we want to demand some things ourselves. One, the chairman talked about why the Uhuru 3 is being charged with these frame-up charges that we were somehow agents of a foreign government, agents of Russia, and didn't register with the Attorney General. We want those charges dropped. That has to be done for us to give another vote to the Democrats. We got to vote uncommitted if we believe that these charges should be dropped. We got to vote uncommitted if we believe that Leonard Peltier should be free and all political prisoners as well. Ending the genocide against the Palestinian people, stop funding the settler colonial state of Israel, and redirect that money to pay reparations to Black people and the Black community, in mass incarceration, in the gentrification that is pushing African and other colonized people out of our communities on a daily basis, creating more and more white enclaves with luxury apartments and luxury condominiums. And we want to stop the murders of Black people by the police in this country. And finally, we want to end the public policy of police containment that only brings more and more police into the Black community. We want to end that public policy of police containment in the Black community and replace it with a public policy of economic development. These are the demands, just some of the demands that we're making in our Make Our Votes Count campaign. And you can become part of that. And by the way, I will be making a presentation at the Black is Back Coalition School that's going to be happening this weekend. So this is just sort of a teaser and a brief explanation of what the campaign is about. There are 4 or 5 primaries that we're targeting that are happening soon. April 23rd, Pennsylvania will be having its Democratic presidential primary. We want to do a press conference on April the 18th, several days before that primary, and get the community to be convinced and persuaded to vote uncommitted so we can make an impact, and the issues of Black people that I just talked about can be forced onto the Democratic Party agenda. This is voting for yourself as opposed to voting for our fears and of voting against Donald Trump. We want to vote for ourselves. And we believe that this offers the opportunity to people who have never been part of a demonstration in their life to now have the opportunity to go in that voting booth, pencil in the little oval, and what it's going to say is uncommitted. I'm not committing to Joe Biden. I'm not committing to the Democratic Party. I'm committing to myself. When you drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 and carry out the other demands that we're making, then you'll get our votes. But until then, we're uncommitted. So I want to give the contact information for the campaign. Please go to our website at makeblackvotescount.com/now. makeblackvotescount.com/now. Our phone number is 727-506-0012. And if you want to make a donation, which we sorely need, you can cash out us at $ make our votes count. $ make our votes count. Please go to our website, give us a call, be part of the campaign, build a make our votes count campaign in your city, and give us a call, send us an email, makeourvotescount@gmail.com, and we can tell you how you can get started and be a part of this great campaign. So I want to thank President, Secretary General of the African People's Socialist Party, President, Chairwoman of the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition, for allowing me to speak today, and let's make Black votes count. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrade, thank you so much, Chair Chimarenga. This is really important, struggle that you are leading, and we have to build the committee to also make Black votes count and to actually, put this into work. So I want to appreciate you for, opening it up. And in the chat here on Zoom, we have Joy that says this Pennsylvanian is uncommitted. So right on, Joy. So so if you have any questions, you can email again, makeourvotescount@gmail.com, or go to the website, makeblackvotescount.com/now. And again, this is how you can get involved in this fight back. So thank you, Joy. Thank you, Chimarenga, and everybody for your questions. We will have a very brief moment for questions. I did want to say that before we move on. So if you have any, please put them in the chat. And also to say that lost my train of thought, but it was about questions. Oh, yes. But we may not have a lot of time on today. So we want to make sure that we can record your questions so that we can make sure that we address them in future webinars. So thank you so much, comrades. So we're going to move it on today. And I want to remind everybody to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. This is where you can make your donation to the legal fund. And we really want to raise our resources for today. Our fundraising goal is $2,500, and we are very fast approaching that. And I want to appreciate those who have, recently donated, which we'll thank in the appeal. But go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Uhuru. So what we've want to, really direct everybody to as we prepare for the trial is to introduce a new section on the website that will be helpful in helping to get this campaign far and wide out as we need to be as we prepare for the trial. So we want everyone asks and has taken action, and we have, we're going to pull that up on the website so we can discuss more why it's important for you to be at the trial and how you can sign up and actually commit to saying that you will be there. And Chairwoman Penny, I know you and I will be kind of going through this section. So if there's anything that I'm missing, please make sure, to intervene. But if you go to handsoffuhuru.org/take action, this is, has been on the website, but the site looks a little more, different now. So we want everybody to just know what this looks like. So again, mark your calendars for September 3rd. For Tampa, Florida, we will be there, and we want you to be there as well. And there'll be more information about how to get there. But right now, we want you to commit on today. Go to the website, fill out the form. So you'll see right there, it says fill out Hands Off Uhuru commitment and volunteer form. This is how we pack the courtroom. So we're going to click on that form just to give you a quick, brief overview of what this looks like. And we're just asking for everybody to tell us your name. If you are with an organization, please do, indicate that. Let us know, because, we can bring out, our people everywhere, our email, phone number, where you're located. All of this is very important. Will you be at the trial? And as has been mentioned, this trial is expected to be a month long. And we understand that not everybody can come for 30 days, and some might, and some will, and we call on you to. But if you can come for a day or 3 days or 2 days, let us know. And as well as if you want to participate in global days of actions, and these are for those who maybe will not be, able to fly across an ocean or something to be here, but want to be a part of this fight back. And again, we are calling on everybody to help volunteer for this fight back. So your commitment to come, to volunteer, to help mobilize is all indicated in this form. We will have more information about, how we're going to put this out. But the volunteer committees, which we can talk about more if there's any questions, will be a great way for you to also help make sure that we can make this trial and all the activities that are going to take place leading up to it and on the ground successful. And we want you to be a part of helping to plan this entire fight back. So that's the trial. Thank you to our AV for pulling that up, so we could take a look. And again, this can be found on handsoffuhuru.org/take action. And below on this page, you will see the calls to actions that we have been, putting out since the beginning: to sign the petition, download outreach materials, volunteer. And within the coming days, some of these other, links will be ready for you to go ahead and start writing to your local newspaper, calling state representatives, text alerts. This is how you can stay connected with us in the moment when the state makes any further moves on the Uhuru movement. So again, as we're scrolling through, you'll see some of the other things that you can find on this particular site, handsoffuhuru.org/take-action. And again, connect with us on social media. This is where we are, able to really reach the people in a profound way. And so thank you so much. Yep, and the gear. If you don't have your Hands Off Uhuru t-shirt, you drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. If you want to help to design the Kick the Ass of the Ruling Class t-shirt, this is all part of the fight back. So Uhuru comrade.
Uhuru, yes. I think it's really exciting what we're putting out. And it is extremely important that everyone get to Tampa for this, this struggle to push back the state, to fight for, like the chairman said, the First Amendment for everyone, no one at the expense of anybody else, the right to anti-colonial free speech movement. This is going to be historic. It's going to be powerful. We're going to defeat the state attack. And any way you can, get to Tampa beginning September 3rd or before. Let's make this struggle. Let's have thousands of people who can't even get into the courtroom. We're going to be outside demonstrating, supporting, and being there to tell the state that hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, and victory to African and colonized peoples. Freedom for Leonard, Peltier, Uhuru.
Okay. Go ahead, Penny.
Uhuru. So yes.
Uhuru.
That's it. And yeah, just everybody sign up. This is in the chat, right? This link is in the chat, I believe.
Yes, handsoffuhuru.org/action. And if it's not, we can bump it back up in there again. Chat moderators, thank you so much.
Is that where the form is, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yes, exactly. And the beautiful work on updating the website. Great job, Chairman Wasey. Uhuru.
Well, I just want to appreciate our volunteers and everybody who helped to pull this together. So which includes this website right here. And so if you have skills and you want to help build in these kind of ways too, this is what we're calling on as well. And you can indicate that in the form. And I did want to just give a quick mention, Chairwoman Penny, for those who have filled out the form or those who have told us in advance, and others who, I know want to, but if I miss you, please let us know in the chat that you will be there. But I want to salute, Union del Barrio, who has committed to coming to the courthouse, Diop, Comrade Diop as well. I want to also appreciate Phil Waledo of Odessa Solidarity and Virginia Defenders, John McCarthy with CPI, the International People's League, People's Struggle, also Franklin Perez, and as well as, and I said Phil already, and I did want to also acknowledge those who have filled out the form. I want to acknowledge Penny. I know you will be there. Indigo Chance, as well as myself, Martin. We want to thank you, Kabula, Stephen, Amanda, Billy Jack, and Sandy or Sandra and Leah as well. So those are just a few who have filled out the form. So yes, thank you so much, comrades. It's great to build with you, and we're going to make it a really important fight back. Not just pack the courthouse, but pack the streets. So, Uhuru. All right. Well, so I am going to use this time, if we can, comrades, before we bring up our comrades with the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee and move to questions and announcements and closing. Just wanted to get an update on where we are with reaching our fundraising goal. We have a goal of raising $2,500 on today to get us closer to our completing our phase 1 goal of $277,500, and then getting us into phase 2, which is to raise, the $100,000 that we've put out that we're going to want, that we need to build and that we will build for the trial. So I'm going to bring up Comrade Jesse Neville, who's going to take us through our appeal. So Uhuru, comrade.
Uhuru, Chairman Wasey, thank you so much again. And I just want to appreciate this powerful event and Chairman Omali Yeshitela's presentation and that incredibly important analysis and understanding of the question of the First Amendment And what the chairman said, that this campaign is going to force the US government to pretend like the First Amendment applies to African people, or they're going to be forced to admit that the First Amendment is gone altogether. And that the attack on the First Amendment for African people, for whom the First Amendment was not even created, is ultimately an attack on the First Amendment rights of white people and of everyone. So this is really important for us to understand. Like the chairman has said, it's not if they come for the Uhuru movement, they can come for you next. When they come for the Uhuru movement, they are coming for you. And that's why it's so important to fund the Hands Off Uhuru counteroffensive. And I want to thank everybody who has done so up to this point. We are so close to reaching our goal of $2,500 today. Since the last time we shouted out our donors, I want to appreciate some additional contributions that have come in. $300 from Leah Byfield. Uhuru, Leah.
Wow. Awesome.
$40 from our comrade from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, Don Lawson. Uhuru. $10 as a monthly sustainer from Director Akile Anai, Uhuru Director Akile. $50 from Allison Haney, who's here with us in St. Louis, Uhuru SGI. $100 from Comrade Maureen Wagner, Uhuru.
Maureen.
And you knew this was coming.
Yes.
Another $100 from
MQ.
Uhuru. Be like MQ.
Right on.
$100. We also have a $50 contribution from Mel Underbaki, and I really just appreciate, yes, from St. Pete, and appreciate Mel, who is the deputy director of the Coalition for Civil Freedom. So really appreciate Mel for your $50 contribution.
Thank you, Comrade Bell.
We want to salute here with us in the room the Midwestern, or the Western regional representative, who is now here in St. Louis, of the African People's Socialist Party, Bakri Olatunji. Uhuru Bakri. Our comrade Lauren Filla, who put in $50. Uhuru Lauren. And I have to keep up with the donations that are coming in here. Let me go ahead and see. So we also want to appreciate for going to handsoffahuru.org/donate, which, let me not forget to say that. If you would like to contribute today, go to handsoffahuru.org/donate. And with all of the support that has come in, we are already at $1,970. We're only $530 away from our goal. And I do want to let people know that funds will be needed, are needed for the trial, for expert witnesses, jury transcripts, travel and housing costs, and for other expenses associated with waging this political fight back. We are almost done with phase 1 of the fundraising for the Hands Off Uhuru campaign, which has a goal to raise a total of $277,500. People have not been able to donate for the past month because, as you know, as part of the ongoing full spectrum financial attacks being made against the African liberation movement, our previous fiscal sponsor abruptly shut down their operations. And we were in a situation where we could not raise funds for over a month. We are excited to announce, as you all can see, that we do have a new fiscal sponsor, that we are able to raise resources now. So everyone who made a pledge, you can go ahead and fulfill your pledge by going to handsoffahuru.org/donate. Our goal in phase 2 is to raise $100,000 between now and the trial date in September. Your contributions are tax deductible. They are also an act of resistance, an act of anti-colonial free speech, and a commitment to ensure the US government's efforts to put Chairman Omali Yeshitela in prison, and in so doing, bury the right to free speech forever, will fail catastrophically. When you go to handsoffahuru.org, you are standing up, you are fighting back, you are declaring, drop the charges on the Uhuru 3, hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So go to handsoffahuru.org/donate and be like, let's see here. We have another donation coming in.
I just pledged $30 to get us to our 2,000 mark. So
Uhuru, thank you, Chairman Wasey. And we also want to appreciate Zaid Mohammed, who put in $100. Uhuru. And Zaid Mohammed made a statement that says, no new political prisoners. Free them all.
Free them all.
Uhuru. Thank you so much. So that brings us to just 400 left to go. So I know I'm going to
do it.
Yes, we can make this happen. We still have more time on this program. So go ahead to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Just $400 left to go. And I will turn it back over to you, Uhuru and Sharon Penny.
Uhuru, wow. Thank you so much for that update and just that great call to action and for giving everybody an update on our new site or our new ability to continue to receive donations. And so this has just been a really powerful program. And I want to thank you, Comrade Jesse. And I see here in the chat from Comrade Ben Hameen just made a contribution of $100. Uhuru, Comrade Ben Hameen. Thank you so much.
Powerful. Just salute Union de Barrio and Benjamin Prado. Very powerful.
Comrade, yes. This is really, really great to have you on, and thank you for that contribution. And yes, as Sister Lucy says, keep your eyes on the prize, and it's great to see you as well, Comrade. So I'm going to turn it to Chairwoman Penny. We're going to introduce our comrades from the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee with the call to free Leonard Peltier, not one more year. So
Uhuru. Thank you. And before we do that, I just really want to, again, salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Comrade Jesse and you, Chairman Wasey, and everybody who's on here. And just to say that just the fundraising and the ability of just this overwhelming support that has raised almost $300,000. And part of what the state is trying to do is to say we couldn't raise that or that this would divert resources from other programs of the Uhuru movement. And I just really want to shout out Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela, who's here with us today, just in the audience, because if you haven't been to St. Louis,
come to St. Louis.
Come to St. Louis on your way to Tampa. Because
come to St. Louis.
that the Office of Deputy Chair and her work has not missed a beat. And when you see this basketball court, these buildings, this housing renovated for programs for African people coming out of the colonial prison system, it is incredible. This is the only place in the world where this kind of just transformation of a whole community led by the African working class itself, the Black Power Blueprint and other programs. It is incredibly inspiring, and this is what they're attacking, and it's going forward. They can't attack this. This is here, and it's very powerful. So I just wanted to say that, and thank everybody who has played such a huge role in the resources and the overwhelming support. And I know that it's going to be packing the courtroom and outside of the courtroom in Tampa on September 3rd and beyond. It is my honor to always be able to bring up the comrades from the Leonard Peltier Committee, the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. And I do want to urge people to read an article that I believe it was attorney, Leonard's appeal attorney, comrade Jennifer Jones put in the chat from a award-winning journalist, Celia Talvi, who I believe is from Iceland, on how Leonard Peltier is basically in what they call a black site. And we would call it a white site, because meaning the colonizer, but just the conditions that he faces as a political prisoner who has been in his own land. And we have to be furious about that. We cannot rest until this colonial mode of production, as the chairman has called it, is overturned, and the indigenous people are free, African people are free, and the Palestinian people are free and have control over their lives and land. So it is my honor to bring up. Oh, let me just say one other thing before I bring up Comrade Dawn. You can turn your video on, and anybody else who are coming on with that. just to say that on our next Hands Off Uhuru webinar is going to be Saturday, April 20th. Save the date. Sign up. You can actually go. We'll have mailer lights continue to go out. That is a week from this coming Saturday. And that is going to be a whole webinar devoted to the history and freedom struggle for Leonard Peltier and for Indigenous people whose land this is. We're going to have Comrade Dawn on, also revolutionary historian and professor Ward Churchill. Chairman Omali Yeshitela is going to be on as well. So we're, just please go save the date. We can put up, if somebody could put the link, the tiny URL in the chat to sign up for that, it would be very important. So yeah, so Uhuru Dawn, thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, I will put the link in the chat in a minute. I'm sorry, I was searching for it.
Somebody could do that. Yeah.
Oh, great.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will set a timer so Comrade Paulette is able to talk. Chair Moise, I believe you mentioned something about romanticizing all of this, and Leonard has become a movement. He's a legend. We've got mostly people overseas, a lot of people over here running around yelling free Leonard Peltier. He's turned into LP merchandise for a lot of people, but he is a human being who is tired and wants to go home. He is in a tremendous amount of pain. He does not like to whine. It took several weeks to get a pain level out of me. Out of 10, he's like 8 or 9 all the time. He's in trouble. He's in trouble and he needs to go home. And it is astonishing the collusion of the elements of our justice system. We are up against the most powerful colonial police force in the world. And it wasn't supposed to be that way. We've had 2 attorney generals warn about the unchecked power of the FBI. And our checks and balances nowadays, Congress doesn't even know they're supposed to be providing an oversight. We all need to be furious. This man, there is no evidence he committed any crime. They fabricated evidence, they coerced testimony. They've gotten away with it over and over and over again. He was saying, quit murdering us. Like you guys have been saying. Federal penitentiaries are holding pens for civil rights activists now. And Jennifer says she's not his appeals attorney. She is actually handling parole and his medical transfer and everything basically that needs handled. And we've got the best legal team in the universe. Jennifer is just incredible. I can't say enough about her. But the government likes to say his conviction is held up through numerous appeals and parole denials. Not one of them has been based on evidence. One of them held up because they don't know who shot who, but it was a member of his nation. They have an Indian, they're keeping them, period. Would we stand for that today, really? 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, everybody focuses on the language. The FBI killed over 60 people on that reservation. The trial of his co-defendants, that was revealed, and they found them innocent by reason of self-defense. They withheld that information in Leonard's trial. And everybody focuses on the language of whether, if they had heard it, if they would have probably or possibly changed their minds. Ward Churchill caught the real reason. They said, much of the FBI's behavior is to be regretted, but we do not wish to further impugn their integrity. So, they love their false testimony. They love their coercion. Leonard could have left prison alive. They offered him his freedom for offering false testimony against somebody else. And he said, no, he is a relentless truth teller. He is not going to grovel. He's not going to beg. He's not going to say, oh, I did it and I'm sorry, because he didn't do anything. The fact that he was the one that's labeled a cold-blooded murder is such a bitter irony, because the man is so empathetic. He loathes disturbance. He worries for us out here. He's the one that keeps everybody in the prison settled down when they're fighting over phones. But we need the people to stand up and say this is not okay. They have had him entombed in concrete and steel for almost 50 years now. He does not get to, he did not get to stand in a storm. Think about that. He doesn't get sunlight. He is locked up for 5 days at a time with, in their own filth. They don't provide cleaning supplies, bad food. Sits on it all day and is shoved through the door. Green bologna and brown lettuce. They sentenced him to death by incarceration. When it was announced his health was failing, the FBI publicly cheered. They are untouchable. What they're doing with your grand jury records right now. That's illegal, but it's the FBI, so who cares? There has got to be a way to hold them accountable. If enough of us stand up and say this is not okay, people know something's wrong, but nobody knows what to do about it.
I mean, the thing is that, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
I am.
You muted, Penny.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
It's my fault. Yeah, I mean, I just think from what we're saying, the only way, because the law is not going to do it. Leonard's case has gone up before every Democratic president. That's why there has to be the uncommitted. That's why there has to be, the people's movement that this represents, and the anti-colonial free speech movement. It's the only way.
Terrified of the FBI. They have been given so much power over the years. They have something on everybody. When one president was going to grant him clemency, he found the White House surrounded by 500 FBI agents. So, it's going to have to be us. It will be. We're going to kick the ass of the ruling class. I mean, this is what it means.
But I do think it's important that you said the FBI is attacking all across the board, and more people are conscious of the FBI. This is why the colonial question is so important, because when colonized people fight back, you see the depth of crisis begin to be exposed throughout the whole system. And so you have how many people now, even people who are associated with Donald Trump and everybody who are complaining about the FBI. You had hearings on the FBI, things like that. And it's only because of the struggles of the colonized people that we pushed it to the surface, and we're making it something that an issue that everybody has to deal with. That's why the power of the people is a critical thing, not the power of the FBI, the power of the people. And what's happened over the last period of time is that the masses have not had access to our own voice. That's why they come at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's why they try to put us in jail for talking. But now we are talking and we are organizing. And that's what Hands Off Uhuru. And I think it's really important to recognize this, that they would, if they can, with the court trial of the Uhuru 3, they would place restrictions on what we are able to say in the courtroom. That's why our trial has already begun. The trial of Leonard, the trial of the state is what we are now participating in making happen. That's why your discussion today is testimony to the people. The people will be the final judges in this entire process, and we are mobilizing the people because we can talk now. So Leonard has been silenced for a while in terms of, I know that thousands of people are aware of it, but now with the ad hoc committee, now it's in motion again. The struggle to free Leonard is in motion. His voice can be heard now, and it's been heard by peoples everywhere. And guess what? One of the things that we're doing when we raise the colonial question is that we make it impossible for them to act like they're putting one person on trial. It's the indigenous people. It's the indigenous people who they have on trial. And that's what Leonard is a part of a colonized population whose land is occupied by force and violence, et cetera. This is the thing that we are bringing to the surface, and this is the thing that they're going to have to contend with, thanks to the work that's being done by the Leonard Peltier ad hoc committee, thanks to the work that we are trying to make happen here, and the unity between the indigenous and African and other colonized people, et cetera. We can win. We are winning. So this is the trial. We putting them on trial. We're not cringing and like you said, Leonard Peltier is a dignified man. He didn't get involved in the movement to free Leonard Peltier. He got involved in the movement to free the indigenous people. And that's where we continue to push that struggle against colonialism. And indeed, anybody who's talking about supporting this case, yes, come to Tampa on September 3, but the main thing that has to be done is to decry colonialism. Free the Uhuru 3. Down with colonialism. Free Leonard Peltier. Down with colonialism. This has to go hand in hand with the demand. Colonialism. It's not just, and that puts them on trial. Colonialism puts them on trial. As long as we talk about this thing in a way that we are just being judged by their course and their judgments, we're being voluntarily being judged by colonialism. We're saying free the Uhuru 3. Put this colonial state on trial. Free Leonard Peltier. Put the colonial state on trial. And let's not let anybody forget that Leonard Peltier is indigenous to this land and Joe Biden is not.
Uhuru! Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you,
Free
Chairman.
Leonard Peltier.
Free, not one more.
Not one more year.
Free all
Put
political
Leonard's address
prisoners.
in the chat. He would love to know that his sacrifice means something to people.
It does mean something. This
Yeah.
attack they made on us means something. It's elevated the struggle against colonized people right to the heavens again, where it was before they shot us out of action, before they jailed us out of action. That's what Leonard Peltier went to prison for in the struggle against colonialism. And now with this movement, as it's re-energized now with this assault that's being made on us, the anti-colonial struggle is now reaching the heights. That's what it's all about. And it's they who have to defend themselves because they already had us locked up, whether it's on a reservation, whether it's so-called ghetto, whether it's in barrios and whatever, they've already got us locked up, but we're pushing back now. All of the colonized people are, and guess what? Our unity is growing deeper every day. And as our unity grows deeper, it makes it necessary for even the colonizers, because those colonizers who want to be our friends can't be our friends in the proper way unless we denounce colonialism. Right. We have to draw a line in the sand. So what is it? You unite with my being a part of America. I'm against racism. That doesn't help me at all because there's never going to be any integration as such. The oppressed do not have the ability to integrate. Only the oppressor has that ability to integrate. And when the oppressor integrates, it's called gentrification.
That's right.
And one of the most extraordinary acts of gentrification you can find is the taking of this land from the indigenous people.
Yes.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you, Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
Thank you so much. 20
Yeah.
point hold font. Leonard is losing his vision.
Right on.
And health is not a thing at the place he's at. Jennifer is working hard to get an emergency medical transfer, but he needs to go home this year.
I agree. He needs to get out of there. Let's get him out of there.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's get Leonard Peltier
Thank
out
you for
of
bringing
there.
up the fact that there has been a concerted effort to take his voice over the past.
Yes.
Yes.
But now he's speaking he's speaking more loudly now than for years.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, through the ad hoc committee, through this movement, he's speaking now. And even there's a comrade in our movement who's totally blind. He says that I can't see anything, but what does he say? But I feel everything. And even without vision, Leonard Peltier sees better than the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. All right. And all the settlers who will keep us from being, all the FBI agents, he has another vision then because he can see the future, and the future is one of liberation and freedom. Right? Uhuru. Yeah. It's they who are blind.
Right, exactly.
Yes, it's they who are
It's they who are blind.
Right. That's undeniable. And that's so powerful, Chairman. We have to say that. And I just wanted to really appreciate that call. And thank you, Comrade Don. And just to reiterate what Don was saying, and since we do have to move the program, but I wanted to make sure that it was clear. Don has put in the chat how you can write to Leonard Peltier. Let him know that we hear him, that we are amplifying his voice outside of that colonial state prison. We will get him out.
Right on.
Yes. So Uhuru, thank you. Salute to the whole committee.
White paper, no perfume, no glitter, pictures, any funny stuff.
I'm gonna paste it one more time with that 20-point note.
Gold font. No
It's there
perfume, no glitter, no
What?
sticker.
Saying use 20
Plain
point
paper and
red
envelope.
letters.
Oh, 20-point font. Okay.
Yes,
Uhuru.
20-point
Thank you.
Can't print out
Uhuru.
pictures to send him. He loves funny pictures. He loves jokes.
Right
Great.
on.
All right.
Let's get him some funny pictures. And
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
We will win.
Uhuru.
We will win. We are winning, Don. Uhuru, thank you,
And
Don.
buy his art. Purchase his art. He's a great
Yes.
artist.
Yes.
Great artist.
Yes.
Purchase his art.
Go to
I will
Free
put
Leonard
his
Peltier
website.
now. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Don. Yeah, okay. We'll just put everything, Don, you can make sure everything is in the chat.
Spirit
Go ahead.
flows onto the canvas.
One last
Uhuru.
time, Don. Okay, I think on my internet might be a little slow, so I
I will
apologize for
set
that.
myself up. And MQ, thank you for reaching legendary donor status.
Oh,
With
wow.
both our coalitions.
Salute to MQ. But yes, buy his art. Uhuru. Go to freeleonardpeltiernow.org and thank you so much, comrades. Great discussion, great great call to action. So we
Everybody should come on April 20th. Save the date, 2 p.m.
Yes.
The whole of the committee will be on. As we said, this is going to be a powerful day to really learn everything about the history of Leonard's struggle and how the people are winning. And we are pushing back the state.
Uhuru.
Comrades. Well, and we're going to go through our announcements and make sure that everybody has the link and information for April 20th, as well as the electoral school. So I want to I think we only have maybe a few minutes and I don't see any questions. And for the sake of time, I think we will have to just, record those questions. But I wanted to read a comment in the chat and also to get an update on our appeal before we move to announcements and closing words, if that's okay. But I wanted to write also, Esther Hosendorf writes, the FBI, the CIA, COINTELPRO, all over again. They traffic drugs into our communities, and the finance of the to finance the Vietnam War. Looked up a man named, she mentioned, talked about, the freeway Ricky Ross case, the attack on the Uhuru 3. This is nothing new. And this is a pattern that this country follows. Free Leonard Peltier, down with colonialism. And indeed, thank you so much, Esther and Uhuru, and Comrade Ben Hameen, who also wants to make the call, free to Leonard Peltier, put the colonial state on trial, drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. So thank you so much, comrades.
There's Comrade Vista from Namibia.
Yes,
Comrade
Chairman.
Vista from Namibia is also here, and he's just made comments.
Yes, I can read that.
About the struggle. Okay.
Chairman, yes, thank you. Let me come back up, because this is how far and wide, it's important to let the people know about Leonard Peltier's case. And here we are in Southern Africa. Comrade Visto writes, salutations to the leader of the African nation and all the vanguard of the APSP, and revolutionary love to our colonizers, to our colonizer leaders like Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, who decided to stand on the right side of history by committing class suicide. Africans unite with you all. And I really want to just, appreciate Comrade Visto and the comrades that are on the continent that are facing the brunt as well of colonialism, the colonial mode of production, which was the, trigger point for this whole social system that we're all locked into now. So it's great to have you on, comrades. Any other comments, Chairman Penny, that I may have missed before we move?
I think it looks really good. It looks great. Oh, Joy is saying, Joy Manbeck I am going to be on her program tonight. I didn't realize that was the program. I knew I was going to be on a program tonight. So she put the link in there. I believe it'll be at 7 p.m. Central. So that's a podcast, I believe. Thank you very much, Joy, for inviting us on.
That's great.
Joy says, yes, I am blind but aware. AF exclamation.
Joy Manbeck, thank you. She says, yep. Thank you, Joy. I want to appreciate them for sharing this in the chat. And to bring on Penny onto your show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll make sure we just put that in the chat on our YouTube as well, so people can find it there and get that up on our events page as soon as possible. So great to have you on, Joy. So that leads us to our announcements. For today, we want to appreciate everybody.
Chairman Wasey.
Oh, sorry, Appeal too.
Yes, I just
Go ahead.
wanted to announce that we did receive a few more contributions. We received one anonymous donation of $100.
Uhuru.
Our comrade Kitty Riley, who put in $30, Uhuru, and Kitty Riley says, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 and strike a blow against colonialism.
I don't.
And you know what I'm about to say.
Yes.
To bring us over the top today, surpassing our goal, we have perhaps not the final contribution today from MQ of $200. Uhuru. That brings us to $2,530 raised. We are winning.
Right.
We are winning.
We are winning.
We will win, comrades. That's powerful. Thank you. What a great way to just take us out. Thank you so much, Jesse, and everybody who recently donated, and for helping us to exceed our goal. This is really powerful. And also to acknowledge one of our attorneys, Leonard Goodman, who is doing this work pro bono. And I do think it's also important to acknowledge that contribution that has been made to this fight back as well. So this is all very powerful, comrades. Uhuru.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the attorney, because this is the first time I've seen since the 1960s. In the 1960s, there were such things as movement lawyers. I can name some of them. I worked with some of them. But we've now seen the reemergence of movement lawyers here who've been attached with this case. And Goodman's one of them, of course, Ada Griffin and Mutake Akbar and Angela Rainey and Carmen Life Malcolm, who was one of the lawyers initially a part of this case. So this has just been extraordinary to see lawyers who have a commitment that goes beyond simply legal precedents and things like that, but can unite with the struggle that we're involved in and recognize the criminality of a government that makes laws and then violates its own laws to suit the political purposes. So I just wanted to appreciate Comrade Jesse was it Jesse who mentioned Mwezi for mentioning Goodman, and we've got an extraordinary group of lawyers who are working on this case.
Yes.
Chairman, thank you so much. And I, totally unite. This is really a historic and unprecedented time. So Uhuru. Well, comrades, on that note, we want you to stay connected so you can keep following this fight back. And we want to tell everybody to join the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/coalition to learn more about how you can join this fight back. This is where the over 40 organizations have come together, taking up the stand around all colonized peoples, all the struggles. As you have seen, we can switch some of the slides as I scroll through, that are a part of this, struggle. And we want to keep you involved about how you can support the various struggles, around the world. So Uhuru, join the coalition, go to handsoffuhuru.org/coalition. Also, as has been mentioned, get to the trial, all out for the trial, put the state on trial on September 3rd, get to Tampa, Florida, go to handsoffuhuru.org/action and commit to getting to the trial. And I want to appreciate those who have also filled out that information since we made the call in today's program. We look forward to seeing you, Ben Hameen, as well as you, Fofi. Thank you for taking the time, and others who have filled out that form. To help push forward the Uncommitted Vote campaign to make Black votes count, we want everybody to go to makeblackvotescount.com/now. That's makeblackvotescount.com/now to put forward this really important campaign. And you'll hear more about this campaign at the Electoral School, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And tomorrow, which is April 11th at 6:30 Central Time, we want everybody to join the African People Solidarity Committee for an online study and discussion titled, What is the Colonial Mode of Production and How Can White People Be Anti-Colonialists? So you can register and reserve your seat for this study. This is an online study. You can go to apspuhuru.org, apscuhuru.org/study. Uhuru. Next up is this weekend on April 13th and 14th, the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations will be holding its 8th electoral candidate school. You must be there, as has been called. Go to blackisbackcoalition.org to register today. And these are just some of the speakers that will be there this coming weekend. And again, the March on the DNC, the Uhuru 3 will be joining the March on the DNC. And again, this weekend, Saturday, April 13th, we will be participating. You will hear from Comrade Jesse Neville, as well as others. So you can find out more about this at handsoffuhuru.org/events. And as well as on April 17th, the African People Solidarity Committee is also having a special event, the Case of the Uhuru 3, again, calling on white people to get organized and to participate in the Hands Off Uhuru campaign to say no to the FBI's war on Black liberation. And this event is taking place in person if you're in St. Louis at the Uhuru Solidarity Center, or you can reserve your spot online at apscuhuru.register. And as has been made, as we have announced, the case of Leonard Peltier, why his liberty is bound to ours, or while our liberty is bound to his. This will be on Saturday, April 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern. This is sponsored by the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition and the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. We want to raise awareness and support this committee in its fight back to free Leonard Peltier. So we want to call everybody to get more information on the Hands Off website. Also, stay connected with us on social media at Hands Off Uhuru on all of these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Join the coalition, and let's make the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. Join this fight back. So thank you, comrades. That will conclude or adjourn our meeting for today. We hope to see you again soon. And I want to say, Hands Off Uhuru, drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. We are winning. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.